Again, good evening to everyone. My name is Mouna Benvoisin, and I am an arts associate at the Department of Cultural Affairs Grants Division. I'm joined today by my wonderful colleague, Brenda Slaughter-Reynolds, who will be guiding us through the webinar, the Neighborhood Engagement Artist Residency, and the Creative Optimism Uplifting Promises Grants Program. In the first part of the program, we will see an overview of the two programs. And in the second part, we will delve into the application itself. But first, just a few housekeeping items. I see more people have joined us. So again, the meeting is being recorded. You can turn your camera off if you prefer. Then during the webinar, feel free to use the chat for any questions. We'll be monitoring the chat. So as we are a smaller group, you will have the opportunity to also unmute yourself and ask your questions directly. But when you are not asking, we ask that you please remain muted. And lastly, the recording of the webinar will be available shortly after our session tonight. It will be available on the website of the guidelines and on the DCI YouTube channel. So it will always be there. So hi again, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda.
Thanks so much, Mouna. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, great. Thanks so much for spending a little bit of your time tonight with us to learn more about the NEAR and co-op grants. As Mouna said, I'm going to first go over a little PowerPoint presentation with an overview of the program, and then I will transition into the application itself and show you a sample application that I have already created. And we can go over that together. We're a small but mighty group, so as Mouna said, feel free to unmute yourself, go ahead and ask questions along the way. You can also type it into the chat and we can address your questions that way. Mouna can let me know since I'm sharing my screen. All right, everybody, so here we go. So you're here tonight to learn about the individual artist opportunities we call NEAR and co-op, Neighborhood Engagement Artist Residency, formerly our Artist in Residence grant, and the co-op grant, Creative Optimism Uplifting Promises, which is combining art services with a social justice organization. Sorry, guys, just a second. So let's do a little bit of an overview on the program here. The NEAR program, formerly Artist in Residence program, and the co-op program is creating Creative Optimism Uplifting Promises. This, again, like I just said, collaboration between a nonprofit social justice organization and a creative teaching artist. I have a sample on the right-hand side of a flyer, which is required of all grant recipients for their culminating event. So the sample I have on the right-hand side here is from our artist in residence, Don Tinling. He runs an HIV writers workshop out of Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Just an example for you of an artist in residence. So he's working at a non-arts partner host, and he is working with a specific population for creative writing. Okay, so some of the goals of the program. So the goal of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs is to have NEAR and co-op artists in every council district. Los Angeles has 15 council districts. We want to cover the whole city. So we want to supply creative arts resources to neighborhoods through host and partner relationships. We want to support projects that engage no less than 20 participants per session on a thematic topic of your choice. It is a skill building workshop process, 11 workshops, one culminating event. In the event that the city is Department of Cultural Affairs receives less funding than anticipated, we would reduce the program to 5 workshops, one culminating event. That being said, we want full participation. So whatever program or artistic discipline you decide to go ahead with, we would hope that you would enroll a minimum of 20 participants for each workshop. We would love to have that be the same 20 participants throughout the workshops. We understand things change. We always encourage oversubscribing. It can't hurt to have too many people in the event of no-shows and other things. So these are going to be skill building workshops at the same location, hopefully at the same designated time, your schedule, your choice. Just to let you know, we prefer projects that don't reach over a 6-month threshold. So typically our near artists culminate their workshops in 3 months, usually one a week. We also have other near artists who like to do summer intensives. And so they'll do 5 workshops, 4 workshops, 2 workshops, culminating event. So really it is a variety of schedule that you're going to propose to us, and that's going to be in the application. I'll show you that in a little bit when we get to it. The host venue selected should be little or no arts. It should be Department of Cultural Affairs, artists in residence, reaching out to neighborhoods that have no other resources for arts and cultural services. To that end, there are a variety of host venues that are non-arts partners that would make good partnerships. Right. So social justice organization, we've brought this up a couple times now. What does that really mean? And Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs has a really broad definition of social justice organization. Suffice to say, cause for justice must be in the mission statement. These social justice organizations can be anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million in budget size. They should not be national in scope. They should be local to Los Angeles. Eligibility. So what makes an artist eligible? So for a near residency and for a co-op residency, must be a resident headquartered in Los Angeles County, not the city of LA, but the county of LA. The services must take place in the city of Los Angeles. So for a near residency, individual artists could also be a duo or a team. If you are an individual artist and you want to introduce some guest artists in your workshops, that's perfectly fine, and we would encourage you to do so. Co-op must be, the application must be presented by the organization naming the artist. The artist is not the one applying. If in fact it is a non-arts partner organization, the naming an employee who is their artist still should be the organization. On the right here, I have another sample of a near artist. This is Robin Finn, and this is her culminating workshop at Adat Ariel, and it was a literary workshop celebrating mothering through the pandemic and beyond. So what do you use the money for? Well, these projects have a $12,000 funding grant. For the co-op grant, it is $15,000. Still $12,000 to the artist, $3,000 to the organization for administrative overhead and other costs. Some of the things that the workshops can and should include funding for your time, your instruction, any necessary things for the workshop. There are some exclusions, and we'll go over that as well. So these are going to be sustainable activities and projects emphasizing the creative process. Community participation is key. Creative thinking, skill building, and that all results in that one low-cost public presentation at the end. So on your left, we have another sample of an artist in residence. This is Christine Suarez. She works with a very protected group, which is also allowed. Please just be in touch with us before the application is submitted. She works with female veterans over at the VA on the west side of Los Angeles. And on the right-hand side, you'll see Stephen Rains. He runs a poetry workshop for seniors at the Senior LGBTQ Center. Here's a couple more samples for you. I think it's important for you to see not only just the flyers, but the variety of host venues and artistic disciplines that these near and co-op artists present. So on the left, we have Shmel Bell, who did her workshop at a school during the summer, and it's street dance activism. On the right-hand side, you're going to see Carol Yu, and she did her theatrical workshop culminating at the El Sereno Community Garden. Now, just one note on hers, she did have a lot of food in her workshop, and that is one thing we cannot pay for, but she found outside sources to take care of that expense. A couple more examples for you. We have here Susan Beasley, who is at the Watts Empowerment Center. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see Jackie Malone, and she did her workshop at the Stella Middle School. So these are both their culminating event flyers. You can understand the workshop progress just through these flyers and the expression they're showing. A couple more examples for you. We have here on your left-hand side, Julie Williams, who did visual medicine, drawing, journaling, cartooning, and she did that at Kaiser Permanente. On the right-hand side, we have Camille Anderson, and she did a writing project, pen project, all about writing, and she did this at New Directions for Youth, and that's in Northridge, which is part of the city of Los Angeles. A couple more examples, just so you get a better idea of the variety of artists in residence projects that go on here. So on your left-hand side, we have Sandy Chukcharian, and this is a summer film camp done at the Tarzana Community and Cultural Center. So the students actually worked on a film throughout the workshops, and then the final presentation was the film screenings. And then on your right-hand side, we have Asia Yu, hip hop, healing through hip hop dance. Now you'll see she had visual workshops, and that was because it was during the time of COVID. We no longer allow visual presentations. We're back in person. Okay, just as I mentioned previously, a couple things to keep in mind as you do your budget. DCA cannot fund things that are in private houses, so they're not open to the public. If you are doing an event at a school, please make sure that it is well open to the public. Typically, we think of schools as open to the public, but in reality, they are not. And I would hate to not be able to come to a culminating event because I'm not a parent or I'm not affiliated with the school. Very important that these projects are presented to the general public, open and accessible. Purchase of depreciable assets. If I'm doing a film workshop and I want to buy a film camera, I can't expense that. I can lease, I can rent, but I can't purchase things that will depreciate. We can't fund anything that is a one winner cash prize, competition. You're funding a fundraiser with food, etc. So everybody wins, everybody gets a prize, or nobody gets a prize. We can't have a bunch of participants that get weeded out and then a single winner at the end. Everybody wins, everybody plays. Again, no food. Unfortunately, it's a risk management issue for the city. You can find other funding for your project and use the DCA money toward things that are fundable. So one more thing to mention, we can't fund anything primarily religious in intent. Everything has to be open to the public and non-denominational, so to speak, secular. So projects, again, we're talking about schools here on the last bullet point. Just please make sure that the school is open to the general public. Public schools, we typically require 14 hours of workshops, one after school or evening assembly to which the whole public is invited. Happy to answer any questions along the way if we have any as of now.
No questions so far,
Nope.
Brenda, but let's see. People were we have a
Hi, Myra.
Hi, it's Myra.
Myra, sorry.
It's on my life, it's okay. I noticed that some of them had a small, like a low cost fee or a charge, like $3. Can you
Correct.
just explain that? Like how
Yeah,
that looks?
Absolutely. Everything Department of Cultural Affairs tries to do through our grant programs are free and low cost to the public. So the $3 may have been a way to capture someone's information so that they could send out a survey afterward. It could be to cover the cost of something that Department of Cultural Affairs couldn't fund. Free and low cost for Department of Cultural Affairs really means about the price of a movie ticket. People are used to paying for a movie ticket. So for us, free is best, low cost, no more than a movie ticket.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Okay, most important to this individual artist grant is the host organization partnership. Very important. So your host organization partnership is gonna have your shared goals. It's going to commit to donating time and space. It's going to be ADA compliant. It's going to understand your program, how best to coordinate it, how it's going to be attended, to help you recruit, to help you market, to make sure it's free and open to the public. The building's not going to be locked up when you show up for your workshops. So it's best if you have a relationship with a host. You may not have a relationship with a host organization, and that's perfectly fine too. But a strong relationship with the host organization is going to help you with things like insurance. Every city contract, everything that the Department of Cultural Affairs contracts through the city requires general liability insurance, and that will be required for this grant as well. That is a cost that is not able to be offset by Department of Cultural Affairs, unfortunately. So it's best if you approach this host organization with understanding that you may want to ask them to add you as additionally insured, to also share their marketing, their email list, and other things like that. Now, it should be non-arts services. So if you want to hold dance lessons, don't do it at a dance studio. There's a variety and a wide assortment of venues, and I will just read a few off right now. It's also in the guidelines. So senior centers, social service centers, community centers, recreation facilities, hotels, malls, businesses, science and research facilities, transit centers, even church basements. So the list is endless. There are multiple choices for your non-arts partner. Just that's very important for us, because the intent of this grant is to go where there are no art services, right? We are bringing arts and culture to the community that needs it, that doesn't get it otherwise. So if the church basement works, that's where the workshop can be held. I see Mary has a question.
Yes, hotels, malls are not nonprofits, so the
It
host.
doesn't have to be nonprofit. It has to be non-arts.
Okay, and then you had said something earlier about their budget needed to range from something to something.
That is if you are considering a co-op application, the social justice organization is going to be the applicant, and that organization, to qualify, should have a budget between $100,000 up to $1 million.
But for the NEAR grant, there isn't a particular budget requirement of the non-arts.
Correct. Yes. So if you happen to know someone at your local mall and you know this store that's gone out of business, you could say, can you donate that storefront to me for 3 months?
Got it. Thank you.
The world is your oyster. You want to have your class, you choose the location, you make it work.
And which are the areas that may already be in the material that are, because I know certain areas probably get a lot of grant applications in terms of parts of the city and others do not. Do you want to?
Very good question. We're going to get to that in just a couple slides. We
Great.
have what we call arts underserved council districts, and I'll get to that in just a minute.
Thank you.
You bet. And then any more questions on the host venue partnership? Okay. So just what Mary was getting to, demographics, geographic distribution. We have many different ways that the application is going to be looked at by the panel. we strive for equitable distribution in all 15 council districts. To that end, we incentivize applications in certain geographies where arts underserved council districts are evident. So if you see down where the judge is right there, our underserved council districts that are greatly incentivized are council districts 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 12. Mildly underserved is council district 15, which is down in San Pedro. I'll show you the elephant ear Los Angeles map in just a minute. But just to also piggyback on this slide, adding to your geography is a ranking. So geography is just part of it. So you want to be sure you include all 3 choices. Have your first, second, and third choice ready when you approach the application. Because when the panel gets in there, if you want Council District 15, you scored just under someone else who wanted Council District 15, you will be moved to your second choice, and so on. So the scoring and the council districts play hand in hand. Yes, Mary?
Does that mean you have to have 3 locations who are on board and have already committed? Even though you were going to say, well, depending on whatever I may not do it here, or how does that work?
Ideally, yes. You are your neighborhood artist and you have many locations to choose from. Simply put, you may not. So we encourage you to use all 3. If you don't feel comfortable going to a third location, you're like, if this is it for you, then yes, just put the 2 first choice, second choice. Highly recommend it. Because truth be told, there are a lot more venues available in other council districts than some more than others. So in order to be the most competitive, you will put down 3 locations where your workshops can take place. And you will have either a relationship with those host venues, or you will have approached them with a clear picture of what you intend to do there, and they've agreed to host you. Okay, pretty soon we're going to get to the application itself, and we're going to go over the proposal. It's going to be a cover page, your project info, proposed host venues. I'll show you what that looks like. And your project narrative. What is your workshop? What do you intend to do? Who are you going to serve? How are you going to do it? Why are you the best one to do it? And then you're going to have a series of attachments that go into your application. Attachment A is going to be letters from the venues saying, yes, I know this artist. Yes, I agree to this. Or it could be simply, you know, this artist has approached us. We're open to the idea. We would need to work it out if this were to come to fruition. Then you're going to attach artistic work samples. Ideally, you're going to show us in action your teaching skills, your culminating event from a previous workshop, your student participants. This could be links, but it could also, if it's a writing workshop, but ideally, we're going to see you in action in one of your artistic samples. If you are proposing a co-op project, the host is much more involved than the artist, so please do email us that for more specifics on that. I think here tonight we have all near applicants, so correct me if I'm wrong, and I can go further into that co-op. Attachment C, that's going to be your resume. This is going to require you to show us at least 2 years of professional experience teaching the workshops you intend to teach with this grant. And any collaborating artists. If you're a dance team or a duo and you're bringing in guest artists, or you have more special artists to bring in, please include those resumes. Don't be shy. Please do be robust with your resume. Attachment D is going to be your project budget. In the application itself, there's a sample budget, perfectly fine template to use. And it also can help understand the actual cost of your workshops. This is by no means a required matching grant, but if you already know or have a relationship with a host venue, or even have a relationship with an outside partner who is going to fund the food or other things, do include that in your budget. We'd like to see the full picture of the budget. It also helps the panel get a full appreciation of your complete program. And then attachment E is going to be optional, but the most competitive proposals certainly do include them, and we strongly encourage them. Supplementary materials. Have you been interviewed? Do your students send you letters? Do you have any reviews? Did your workshop last time get any news coverage? Did your venue send you an appreciation letter? Any outside voices, any sort of full circle moments of students who are now teaching, those would be appreciated as supplementary materials. Okay, so here's our elephant ear map of Los Angeles, like I was saying. Circled right now, you have South LA. Those are Council Districts 8 and Council District 9. And then you have the San Fernando Valley. That is Council District 6, 7, 8, 12. And then for a real specific understanding of the council district where you want to do your workshops, you can go ahead and use the interactive map, or you can also go to our neighborhood finder. That'll give you the exact council district of any street address that you pop into that finder. So South LA, CDs 8 and 9, the Valley 3, 6, 7, and 12. Those are our greatly incentivized areas for arts services. Here we are in the cycle. Yes.
Before we move on to the grant cycle, we have in the chat a question that I think would be interesting for everyone to expand on. Can you go explain a little bit more again, you know, if the 3 locations should be in the same district, the venues, or 3 different districts?
That's a choice of the artist. It's if you have been working in a neighborhood that knows you, I recommend staying in that neighborhood, despite over and underserved arts districts, because you're going to get the most attendance in a neighborhood that knows you. If you are seeking a new partner or you want to try your workshop in a new location, that's great too. I just want you to be sure that you're going to get the maximum attendance possible and that you're going to be able to deliver those workshops in that venue. So here we are in the cycle right now. We're at workshop assistance. We're in October 2023. This application deadline for the online submission is Monday, November 6th at midnight. After you submit online, you will need to send in a hard copy to our offices, and that should be postmarked by Wednesday, November 8th. And then, unfortunately, you won't hear from us for a very long time, and that's due to our panels taking place, the city budget being allocated. Once the city budget is confirmed, we can notify you of the results, and that will happen next May to June. And then we start contracting at the very same time. You'll be offered a contract right away for services to start July 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Now that is a 1-year period of time. We want your workshops to take place within that period of time. Typically it's 3 months, as I said earlier. Some artists like to do it in the summer to do intensive with students. Some artists like to do it in the evenings with seniors once a week, etc. So it really depends on your programming, but it has to take place within that year. So if you go to our website, you will find a myriad of links and drops and things like that to choose from. It's dcaredesign.org/AIR/. That'll take you right to the Neighborhood Engagement Artist Residency and Creative Optimism Uplifting Promises page. And from there, you'll see this salmon menu that goes across, and you'll see the bar to apply. You can drop down any of those menus for more information. It'll also have the city maps and the neighborhood links and more information about host venue, requirements, etc. Once you get to the application, I'm gonna just slide this over here and show you that when you, can you see me? So when you create an account in SurveyMonkey, you should create an account as a singular person, not an organization. And then that way you will come to see the programs offered, right? These are for individual artists. Right now, we're talking about the NEAR and Co-op grant program. I've already started an application so that I can show you guys the progress that happens alongside it. So here we go. We're going to see my application and we're going to go over. So it tells me I have 5 tasks and 4 out of 5 have been completed. So you can see the proposal is really just one task. Then all the attachments, A, B, C, D, and E. Co-op applicants also have to complete the 990. And then there's optional service metrics and process evaluation. So let's dig into the application itself here. This is for this year, this proposal. And I'm saying, yes, I'm applying for the NEAR grant. I'm an individual artist. I have my legal name. I have my professional name, if that's different, my mailing address, residential, the name of my project, who's doing it, who's the lead artist, when my project starts, when it ends. These are estimations. We understand this may change once contracting starts, understandable, but this is what I'm solid about right now when I apply. The number of artists, I'm going to have 2 guest artists, so I'm going to have 3 artists. I'm going to enroll 30 people per workshop, and then I'm going to have 60 people at my culminating event. What's required is to have 20 participants and 40 at your culminating event. Then here we go to the project location, first, second, and third choice. Where's my first choice? My first choice, I'm going to do my workshop at the Midnight Mission. And it's right here in the heart of downtown. I'm in Council District 14. Ironically, not an arts underserved council district, but I'm doing it at the Midnight Mission because I've been working there for 3 years. And then I'm going to let you know that, yes, my venue has confirmed. Now, I can show you the choices here. I'm going to go ahead. And if you want to do this yourself at any point, you can. I'm going to edit my choices here. Well, it's not taking me there. I'm sorry about that. No. Okay. Let me go back. Previous. Okay. So I've said, yes, my venue has confirmed. The other choice here is no, my proposed host venue has not yet confirmed. Oh, sorry, this is to provide insurance. I apologize. Late in the day. So it's confirmed that they're going to cover me for insurance. I can also select no, they're not going to, they haven't confirmed that they're going to cover me for insurance. Either choice is fine. Okay, then we go to the second choice. My second choice is Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission. I'm going to the Valley. I'm going to a separate location. I've been there less than 1 time, less than a year. And then I have my third choice. It doesn't ask about the insurance for each choice, just your first choice. So my third choice, I'm going to go to the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission in Northridge. And I've never been there. And I'm just going to say, you know, I've never presented at that site. And then I'm going to go to my next page here. And this is asking me now for some narrative answers. So it wants project specifications, qualifications, and collaborating artists. So in this document, I'm going to list how I've devised this workshop, how I'm going to teach it, how I'm going to implement it, who's going to be involved, what the residency is going to consist of. I'm going to be at Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission for 12 weeks on Monday nights, working with women and children who have been displaced. I'm going to be bringing my creative workshop to these women, skill building, here's why, here's how, culminating event, open to the public, etc. And then, of course, my qualifications. Why am I qualified to teach this specific workshop? So you're going to really state your case here in that narrative. And then narrative number 2, community to be served and host venue partnership. You want to describe your participants, your audience, served, any special needs, gender, economics. You're really going to get granular about who is intended to be reached by your art, by your workshops. Then the second part of this narrative, you're going to describe how you're going to collaborate with your host organization, how they're going to help, what they've committed to, or this is a new relationship, you're excited about it, you've had conversations about insurance, you know that you're going to be there for 3 months, they've committed to that through their letter, etc. So you're really just going to be factual, spell it out for us, let us know. We don't need your artistic language. We need to know exactly, I'm going to serve girls ages 8 to 16 who are Latina from underserved community in this area of where I'm doing my work, etc. So you need to get really granular and specific there. Third question here, impact and evaluation. Describe the measurable short-term and hopeful long-term community benefits that result from your proposed residency. So this can be more visceral. This can be the impact of your art is really what it's going to describe. So it's going to tell us how you're going to evaluate your project, what objectives you have going into it, what you want to get out of it. It goes back to a question we had earlier about the $3. That may be their way of capturing an Eventbrite questionnaire or survey or written response from each participant and each attendee at the culminating event. So then at the end of this proposal, you're going to sign it, and you're going to sign it with your mouse. So it's going to look like a 5-year-old signed it. Don't worry about it. We're used to it. And that's just the way we do it. All right. And so then that is all complete. And I'm going to mark as complete. And then you see that green has filled in there with a check mark. So I'm going to go to my project host letters here, and I've uploaded a host letter. It'll tell you the types of documents that we can accept. The host letter is very prescriptive. It wants each of these items answered in the host letter. So if you already work with an organization, it's best to give them this in advance, or even to write the letter for them answering all of these questions. So it's very, very informational, very specific to the organization and to your workshop. It's all about you and the partner. What is their mission? What are they doing? And if it is an empty storefront or a church basement, it need not be full of language. It really is just very informational, letting the city know, letting the panel know, anticipation. Are you going to get matching of any donated materials, free space rental, insurance, statement of commitment? So don't let this very wordy request scare you off here. And then once you have your project host letters, you can attach as many as you like, or you could do them all as one document, or you could just submit for your first choice. The most competitive applications are going to have host venue letters from everywhere they propose. If they choose up to 3, they would have 3 host letters. Attachment B, artistic work samples. So you can see the choices here: video, audio, published, images. I recommend if you're doing a performing art that you do a video sample. You can include up to three links as videos. Audio tracks, you can include up to 5 minutes. Published material, you can be very specific in the description about how this is relevant to your workshops. And then images and photos. You could get crafty and put a URL into an image if you are doing a design visual workshop or something else that has a visual nature, but you also include a teaching sample where you are shown instructing in a workshop. So you can get creative here with everything that you want to include. And also you can really use that descriptor to help the panel understand why it is you're attaching and what it is you're attaching. After your work samples, attachment C is going to be your resume. This is your teaching artist resume. This is going to tell us and show us exactly how much experience you have doing what you do and doing what you do well. Don't be shy. Put in everything. Please elaborate. And you're also going to include any guest artists or other teaching artists that you're going to include as part of your workshop series. And then attachment D, this is the budget. And we do have a project budget sample. And that template you can definitely use. See here, we want you to pay yourself because it takes a lot of planning. Marketing, evaluation, guest artists, project materials, rental equipment, flyers, evaluation, contingency. So this is all here for you to use. And not as important as the donated material, but if you know for sure you have donated material, please put it in there. As I said, it helps the panel understand the full scope and cost of the workshop. Okay. And then these other items here are very appreciated as we strive to make this process more streamlined and easier each year. So any information here you can provide is greatly helpful to us. So I'm going to mark that as complete. And then we have the process evaluation. It's a very simple yes. Mark as complete. And then I am going to review. I'm going to upload a dummy. Okay, so it will let me submit this. Mark is complete. Ah, it's telling me my project budget is not attached.
Yeah, it is a project budget. And when you're done, Brenda, we have a raised hand from Marilyn. Sure.
Okay. So all 5 of my boxes now are complete, and I'm going to submit. Please confirm. If you wish to take a look, review it. So I can either review or submit. So for the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to submit. so we can see. Application submitted. I'm going to get a confirmation email telling me it's been submitted and telling me to submit the hard copy. Then, after I've done that, I am complete with my application. Okay, yes, Muna.
Yes, Brenda, thank you so much for this great, explanation about the application. We have a raised hand from Marilyn. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Marilyn, and ask your question.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. I was curious about the budget page that you had up and whether those hourly rates are sort of your standard recommended rate. It seems like the Department of Cultural Affairs should value artists a little more. So I'm just, wanting to know about that. And then you mentioned that if you have guest artists, to include them there. I didn't know if you meant to include their resume as well, or just to include them in, if you could clarify that.
Yes, so let me look here. Good eagle eye. I was not even looking at the hourly wage there. This is, of course, just a sample. So it's $25 an hour, and then you're paying yourself $39.50 an hour. Clearly not a high rate. Understood, appreciated, and thank you for that note. And I can make our dummy sample with a higher budget next time, a higher hourly rate. And yes, any teaching artist resume, anybody that's going to be a guest artist or anything, they're also going to have their resume uploaded. You're going to include their resume as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We also have a raised hand from Myra.
Thank you. I just had a question about the budget as well. When you're
Sure.
making budget, I've applied for some grants, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, does your project need to equal the amount of that you're giving? I think you said it was like $12,000, right?
Yes.
So in your, advice, should we be trying to make a project that fits into that budget, and it should show that when we're, doing the budget, or is it okay if it goes over? I mean, I'm just trying to get some.
It's okay if it goes over. It costs what it costs. It should be at least $12,000 what you're proposing, so it should match the funding objective. So if for instance, in that other column there, the donated column, if you're having stuff donated, or that DCA can't pay for some things that your workshop requires, like the food in the workshop flyer I showed you a few slides ago. She found a way to pay for that food. That that project budget was over $12,000, but the food wasn't included in what DCA could pay.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, a few more questions. Joe, please feel free to unmute yourself.
This is great. Thank you so much. This is all very clarifying. Okay, so this is my first time applying for this, so I want to
Yay!
clarify stuff for me. So, okay, so let's say, can you apply? I work with, a nonprofit a nonprofit after school program in Hollywood. Is that an arts-based organization or social justice organization? How would
What's
that
the
work?
name of the group?
The Laser Stars after school program?
Yeah, that's an arts organization, and in fact, a grantee of ours from time to time. So I would encourage you to seek other venues,
Okay.
but perhaps align them and their services to help you with enrollment and things like that.
But that would not qualify as a co-op.
Co-op? No.
Okay. Okay, then also I do workshops with the Boys and Girls Club in Venice. So what would that go as? That would go as a co-op?
Boys and Girls Club of Venice, if they're over $1 million, you would do a near residency.
As a near residency.
Yes.
Okay.
But that would be a great partnership.
Okay, because then my next question is, now that I know that the other areas in LA are focused on, would it be, I'll just stay focused on my organization here or whatever, versus going to a community that I haven't worked in yet? Or do you do both? Do you also reach out to other?
You could do both. Remember, you have three choices.
Three,
So one
gotcha.
could be one you already work with, one could be one you want to start working with, and one could be one a neighborhood you want to get accustomed to.
Okay, and then what about, I also work with a nonprofit theater in Hollywood, which they have a youth outreach program during the summer. Would that be, they're not a art, well, they're an arts nonprofit, so I guess that wouldn't qualify, correct?
Correct. So it's really just an extension of what they already do.
Gotcha. So that doesn't work as a social justice organization or as a near grant.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I think that answers all the questions. Okay, great. Oh, and I would have to have 20 participants minimum, correct?
Yes, that is the minimum requirement. That's why I say if you work at, maybe a Lacer's adjacent location, they could help you with enrollment from their list.
Okay.
Or
I would be a little concerned about that. I don't know if I've ever had, because it's a spoken word writing workshop. I don't think I've ever had 20 students. That's usually challenging to find 20 students, but that is a requirement of this grant, correct?
yes, it is. And
Okay.
I would encourage you to look at like-minded organizations that do that, like Get Lit or Right Girl,
Sure.
to see how they generate their workshop
Great.
participants.
Awesome. Thanks.
Sure. Look
Great
forward to your
question.
application.
Yes, great questions, Joe. So now Marilyn, and then we'll hear it from Myra.
Great.
Again, I want to also say this has been super helpful, and I hope I'm not asking too many questions.
That's why we're here.
Thank you. Thank you. So I also have a question about the 20 participants. I've been teaching photography workshops to LGBTQ seniors, and 20 is just a kind of almost too large to do at one time. And I've been doing, is it possible to do, a morning with 10 people and an afternoon with 10 people and consider that a total of 20 participants?
So in essence, you're doubling your work, but that could possibly work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Given you could make the argument in the application that due to the one-on-one nature of your workshops, it's better if it's capped at 10 and you do it twice every time, morning and afternoon, 2 different cohorts reaching your 20. And the culminating event would be one culminating event though, with all of them.
Exactly. And then I have one last question. When it says, are you a previous grantee? I have had previous grants, but they were 20 years ago. Does that still make me a previous grantee? I guess it does.
Yes. I mean, once you're a grantee, you're a grantee. So I would say that bodes well for your understanding of city contracting and arts and cultural services in a government setting.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great, super. So Myra, you also had a question?
Oh, yes. So if you're picking 3 choices and you have the letters from each choices, are you like, how do you secure that? Like if I'm going to speak to someone and I don't get my first choice from you, but like, how do I talk with them about it? Do I let them
I see,
know?
like you're my second choice, but
Yeah, or
please
like,
sign this
I
document.
might not work with you. Like, how does that, what do you suggest? And
It might lead to a brand new partnership at the end of the day, right? So what you're really wanting to do is let them know that you're required, or you're wanting to have a very competitive proposal because the application goes through a process, and it may be that council district that gets selected to host your workshops. And so you want to have a venue in place and ready to go. Up to you if you want to entertain a dialogue saying, if this doesn't work out, let's talk about something in the future, or, you know, because it really does open up a possibility for your professional development as well.
That's good. I like that. That's good. That's a good
Okay.
way to and then how many grants do you give?
Well, we would like to do at least 22. One in every council district plus. Depends on funding, right? So each year the city budget goes through a process of approval. And once we know how much money Department of Cultural Affairs is allocated, that's how much we know, how we know how many grantees we can have.
Okay.
But we're looking for this program to continue to grow. So please encourage other people to apply as well.
It's a great program. I'm a visual artist and I work with youth. And right now I'm doing an arts series, 6-week series with LGBTQ youth. So, and I partnered with, but it's an arts organization, but I partnered with them. But I was just, when you say skill building, I mean, a lot of the stuff I do has to deal with the social emotional aspect, you know, really relieving their anxiety, helping them with depression and things like that. So,
So
but when you say
that's
skill
building a skill, right? That's building resilience. That's building other skills, soft skills, they may be called, but yeah, that's skill building.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brenda, we have a good question in the chat from Ari. Would an LA Public Library branch count for as a non-arts partner, as a non-arts organization?
Yes. Yes, please reach out to your library.
Aha, interesting question from Joe. I think if the workshops happen in LA, can the culminating event happen in Santa Monica? That's
Sadly, no. All the art services need to take place in the city of LA, and we would hope that the culminating event happens in the same venue as the workshops.
Gotcha.
That's the intent. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, but there's some places that border Santa Monica, Los Angeles, Mar Vista area, so always worth an address lookup on the neighborhood finder. Some street addresses say Santa Monica, but they're LA and Culver City and the like.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
I had one other question in terms of the 20. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did I cut anybody? No. All right. Should we have like sign-in sheets and things like that? Like, how do we keep?
That's a great question. And yes, you should have sign-in sheets. And as a matter of fact, those are great things to turn in with your final report. And when you're asked about the participants, you can have proof positive of who in fact signed up and signed in. Yeah, things you're typically doing now, best practices, great to continue those with this grant funded project.
wonderful. Any other question, Mara Tandy?
Well, I've put our contact information up. We're always available to answer more questions as you go through the application. More questions may come up for you. Host venue letters. You'll see it's very prescriptive, but if you have any ideas or thoughts you want to bring to us, please feel free to do so. That's what we're here for. We want to help you get the most successful application possible. And we're always available. Email, phone.
And you're punctual, 6:30 on the dot. Perfect.
But what's your name?
My name is Brenda. Brenda, I'm the third one down there, Brenda Slaughter Reynolds.
Okay.
And then I'm joined here by my fabulous associate, Muna, who is the first one listed there.
Yeah, Muna's on there. Yours just says DCA, so I wasn't sure. Okay. Thank you so much. It was really, really helpful.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Yes, thank you. Really excellent. Is this presentation available online or at your site or?
We are recording this specifically to put on our YouTube site. Yes.
Yeah, it will be available shortly.
Thank you.
Right. Well, if there are no more questions, I think we'll close it out. And thank you all for attending and spending some time with us tonight and for your great questions. It's very helpful for us to hear from you as well. And just a reminder, please get your application in by November 6th. And we look forward to hearing from you and reviewing your applications.
Yes, and thank you so much, Brenda, for this great webinar. All right, have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.